Welcome back to my channel. It's me here, Ari. Today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my mobile home living series. I made a video on part 1 about why my husband and I chose to live in a mobile home, and it's mostly pros. But today I wanted to share pros as well as cons on mobile home living. So if you haven't had a chance to watch my first video, please make sure when you get a chance that you go watch that as well. And that's just my husband and I's personal reasons on why we choose to live in a mobile home. Now, I jotted down some things that you might be interested in. A lot of people are looking for housing that is affordable. You may want a new construction, or you may want a new home without spending $400,000 or $500,000. That's one good thing about mobile home living. You can basically get an upscale living arrangement without the high price. So I just want to go through some pros and cons with you. Well, let's just start with some pros. In my opinion, there are so many pros to living in a modular home, manufactured home, or a mobile home. A manufactured home is different from a modular home. And they don't really use the term mobile homes anymore, but that is a name that they were called. Now the name is manufactured homes. So to get into some of the pros, the first one is that it's much cheaper than traditional housing. As I mentioned before, a really nice home down in the South, depends on where you live as well. A nice brick home will run you upwards of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for a nice brick home. With decent square footage, large rooms. Now that will get you in a nice area usually, and you'll have a neighborhood basically, or you could build a house on your own land for that same amount of money. So being able to purchase a manufactured home for half the price or under, and you can get the same look as a high-priced home. So that's definitely a pro in my book. Depending on where you live, you can be in a high cost of living area living much cheaper. It just depends on where you live. Some areas are much more expensive to live in, and with having a cheaper home, you can live in that area because you have money that you've saved, which is a true benefit. Now, where we live out in the rural, out in the woods. I have to make a video on that also, living in the woods in a manufactured home, because that's what we do. But yes, living in a high cost area will provide you the freedom to live there because you'll have more money saved. Another benefit is having lower taxes. Your taxes are definitely lower in a manufactured home than they would be in a house. So that is something to consider as far as paying taxes. Today's mobile home or manufactured home is nothing like in the older days. You can have a high-end place, you guys. I've seen them with garages with multiple levels. I've seen homes and felt homes that did not feel like a modular manufactured mobile home at all. Once you're inside, you cannot tell that from a house. They can be extremely high end. So, and as I mentioned before, we were looking for homes with big rooms. We want large rooms, and for our price, this worked out well for us. It's truly a benefit to go in and just pick out the home that you want, and the setup is super quick. That's another benefit. It's super quick and easy setup. If you have your property already prepared and you have your will and everything, it's just such an easy process. It's so much easier than building a home, because I built a home before from the ground up, and it's a lot more to that than, you know, just purchasing a home that's already pretty much put together for you. The next pro is features. There are so many features that can be added to your home. You can make upgrades as far as your appliances, the walls. Take for instance, in our home, I knew I did not want a house with paneling or wallpaper. I gotta admit, some of those homes, those mobile homes back in the day, they had the cheap look to me because of the walls, but I only wanted sheetrock. you can purchase manufactured homes with sheetrock and it will look like a home. You cannot tell the difference. So you can definitely make those upgrades. We have granite countertops in our kitchen. You can make all the upgrades you want. If you want gas stove, whatever you like, you can make those changes. So now let's go through some of the cons. I mentioned before that we had property. Now, if you don't have property, that can be a hindrance in you purchasing your manufactured home. If there's a lot of availability for property, that could be a con for you. Then you would probably have to live in a mobile home community or manufactured home community, and then finding one that suits your needs or finding one that matches the style of home you have could be an issue. So that's definitely a con in finding the right property that meets the requirements of your home. Another con could be having to meet extra expenses caused by a mobile home community. Whereas if you had your own property, as such as we do, you don't have any extra fees, and you have a freedom to just do what you want to your home and how you want to prepare your home or how you want your home to look outside. You have that freedom. You can make your driveway on this side or make your driveway on that side, whereas if you're in a community, you're set by rules and fees that you just may not like. So another con might be finding financing for your home. You may have fewer options, or your financing charges may be higher depending on your credit. Because some people consider manufactured homes a risk, so it may be harder to find financing just depending on your situation, which definitely could be a con. And I'm going to keep it real with you. Another con could be questionable long-term value of your home, because whereas houses usually appreciate, manufactured homes can depreciate, but they're always around everything. Where there's a will, there is a way. You can add on to your home, brick your home in, add another roof, different angles. I've seen manufactured homes that were added on because it's so much cheaper. You can pay the house off and build you a house around it and make it fantastic. It just depends on your situation and what you're looking for and what your needs are. But that could be a very fair con, is the depreciation or the value long term of your mobile home. Now this con is something real, and that is the stigma of living in a manufactured or mobile home. There has always been that stigma. I grew up in a mobile home, the single wide, the 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and always running when tornadoes came, but that was my home and I still loved it, but my parents eventually built a huge house. But I remember the stigma. Some of my friends would be like, oh, she lives in a trailer, or she grew up in a trailer, or whatever. So there's definitely a stigma to it. So if you care about whether other people think, this might not be for you. This is not for the weak of heart. This is something that you have to do for you because you feel is best for you, and you don't care what nobody says, because that's something that works out for you. So there is definitely a stigma attached to living in a mobile home. Trust that. I've experienced that all of my life. I had the stigma myself, to be honest. But once you decide for yourself that this is what's best for you, especially maybe at that moment, or even if that's just a choice you make, you may have the money, but you're choosing to save for different things, or if you're just choosing to not spend the money on a foundation built home, that's the option you have. But it's definitely a stigma, which is a con in my opinion, because everybody's not going to see it the way you see it. So it has to be something you have to decide for yourself. Okay, so this last con that I want to talk about is something serious and it's something real. And that is when the threat of bad weather comes, you have to have a safe place. if you're living in a manufactured home, mobile home, you have to have a safe place. Now, I'm going to keep it real. When a tornado or strong winds or whatever hits any house in the direct path, it's not going to be good, right? But if it hits a modular home or a manufactured home or a mobile home, whatever one you want to call it, it definitely seems to fare worse. So you definitely have to have a safe space, either a cinder block room, or if you need a storm shelter, you have to have something in case of a storm. And we are working on setting that up for us right now. It's something definitely on our list because they are not safe when bad weather comes. Now, I'm not going to just say bad weather. It has to be really, really strong winds. Now, for manufactured homes built in Florida, they can stand a higher wind. Usually, I think it's about 120 miles per hour. Our home is 90 miles per hour. So anytime winds above that, you are threatening parts of your house flying off or something like that. Definitely, that's why we're thinking about breaking in, as well as getting a storm shelter. Those things have to be thought through, and you have to figure that in your budget as well. You have to really think about the area where you're living in. Are tornadoes frequently coming through, hurricanes, whatever? You have to prepare for those things, which is definitely a con, because mobile homes or manufactured homes are hit way harder, and you see a lot more destruction and loss of lives in a manufactured home. But you have to have a plan, and you have to have a plan and follow through with your plan. But like I said, if a tornado or a storm hits the wrong house, any house, doesn't matter what kind of house it is, in the wrong way, it's going to mean destruction. But in a manufactured home, you fare worse. It's true that. Well, you guys, that's going to be it for my pros and cons series of my manufactured home. Yes, I'll be making a couple more videos on this series. Leave me some comments down below and let me know, do you have a manufactured home? Have you thought about purchasing one? I hope this video helps you out to make that decision. We love ours. There are some things you have to consider if you're going to make that purchase. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. I hope I can help you. If not, I'll do some research and let you know what I find. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure that you watch this video here, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.